If you do a very basic, redundant job, most likely AI is going to replace you. And so what I do is I coach anybody that I'm working with, whether they're engineers, engineering leaders, or recruiters, is you've got to be great at what you do. You've got to stand out. Your empathy and the things that only humans could do has to surpass the things that a bot, an AI, an algorithm can do.
Welcome to the Tech Leader Playbook podcast. In this episode, we're going to break down how AI is disrupting tech recruiting. Avetis and Antaplyan is the founder of HireClout, an Inc. 5000 fastest growing business that is the premier technology recruiting and consulting firm, focused on building relationships that deliver. Let's dive in. We're going to waste no time. Let's dive right in. I got a juicy topic for you today. It's how AI is disrupting the tech recruiting industry, and I'm curious your thoughts on exactly that. How is AI changing the landscape of tech recruiting, and what are the potential benefits and drawbacks to incorporating it into our businesses?
Nickolas, AI is another one of these mythical creatures everybody talks about. They try to pretend their products have AI. They try to pretend it's the next thing that's going to change the world. It's a thing, right? AI is definitely a thing. I think so far in recruiting, it's mostly more automation than it is AI. And I think there's a place for it, but I think it's a tool to help us do what we do better, faster, more scalable, but I don't think it will replace the people part of our business. For example, we have tools that do all kinds of things. Companies have tools that could go out and find people and contact them through automation. They could weed out their resumes through AI, which could be a little bit of machine learning and things like that. But really, at the end of the day, it will not do the job of a human, because really a human is the only one's intelligent enough so far to really know what your goals are, your dreams are, your challenges are, and try to match them with the opportunities that a company has. And on the other end, companies like to use job descriptions. You know, when we get new clients, they say, "Hey, everything's in that job description." I say, "I don't even want to read your job description. I have to get to know you. I have to understand what you're trying to achieve. What are some of the bottlenecks your company has? What are some of the goals and dreams and vision your company has?" So I think AI has a place in trying to make things faster and maybe a little smoother, but I don't think they're advanced enough right now to really replace the more complex parts of our business, if that makes any sense.
That does make sense. I was recently talking with someone, and we were talking about how software engineers, back in the day, they were like, oh, software engineers are going to be the prominent job in the space, and it's because the software is going to take up the jobs. And now it's almost flipping in a way of like AI, there's so much AI that if you don't have soft skills, there might not be a job for you. So it's almost putting the value of people skills above the AI skills, which I thought was a really interesting perspective on it.
That's really clever. I can see that. I think AI eventually will replace 80% of the basic things we do. So now you've got to make sure that you're on the other side, that the things you do is heavier on the other 20% versus the 80. So yes, if you do a very basic, redundant job, most likely AI is going to replace you, right? And so what I do is I coach anybody that I'm working with, whether they're engineers, engineering leaders, or recruiters, is you've got to be great at what you do. You've got to stand out. Your empathy and the things that only humans could do has to surpass the things that a bot, an AI, an algorithm can do. Look, real estate is an area people have been talking about. Oh, it's going to be gone, right? So Zillow has all kinds of ways you can buy and sell homes without an agent. You know, you can list a home. And I think all of those things, again, have a place, and it will replace 80 to 90% of realtors eventually. But the great people in any industry, whether it's real estate, recruiting, or software engineers, I don't think can be replaced. Because the decision-making that they do on a day-to-day basis, I don't think is replaceable yet. I can very quickly build, or buy a product that goes out and sources and puts people in a project folder. Okay, maybe we can automate the reach outs, which we don't love. But then who's going to respond, right? Who's going to respond to them? Okay, let's say AI could replace that. It can ask you a question, you could respond, and it's smart enough to respond back with deeper questions. Then you respond to that. And some people actually prefer that, right? Especially a newer generation. They like talking to chat bots and talking to, not meeting people, not picking up the phone. But eventually, some way, somehow, I have to interview you.
Right.
If this thing is done right, only a human could do what are intended to do, which is to understand your problems and your challenges and the opportunities and your dreams, to try to line that up in a way that a machine can't understand. If you really look at people's decisions, a lot of times they don't make sense. It just hit me. Look back on my story, Nickolas. You and I did an episode a couple episodes ago, which I told you in 2007, I made a decision that actually really didn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. The decision I made, a computer would have never made for me, ever.
Right.
Because it actually logically did not make any sense. Right? You're a senior director at a Fortune 500 company with big salary and a life that you need to maintain. Here's 2 offers. You're going to turn those 2 offers for vice president positions in cushy big companies, beautiful offices, to go work at a startup to help rebuild it while it's against the ropes in a recession. Yet what were the results, right? What were the results that came from that human-only decision? The results were massive, not only in my own life, I have a great life, but also hopefully the lives of the folks that I've worked with, both candidates, clients, and more importantly, my employees, right? What's the impact I've been able to make on their lives? Some of the folks came here 6-7 years ago when we started this thing. They were earning $40,000-$50,000. They were starting their careers, and now they own homes. Some of them have earned $200,000-$300,000. They're leads and managers and directors. They have children. We've been part of that. So again, an AI bot would not have made that decision. I would have never gotten that introduction. So I think that's actually a really good example of how it can't replace what humans do. It could just make us do more of what we do.
Yeah, I think for better or worse, humans are unpredictable, right? It's the beauty of being alive is the fact that we can make risky, even somewhat emotional decisions that go into, I'm going to take the big risk and take this job. I'm curious, keeping in line with the tech portion of this, since the pandemic, I feel like every industry has been hit with everything's virtual now. So how has that changed the recruiting process, and how have you had to adapt with maybe all the interviews are virtual now and getting to understand someone? Is it the same way? How does that affect the whole process?
Our thing was always meeting people in person. So when we were a regional player, every client had to be met. So we'd go to their offices, we'd take a tour, we'd take them to lunch, really understand them on a human level. Same goes with candidates. They'd have to come to our house or, our office. We'd have to go to their homes or whatever to get to know them, or their company sites. And that changed. One, because we became a national firm and we don't have boots on the ground in every city in the U.S. 2, with COVID, people didn't want to meet anymore in person.
Right.
So how did we make up for that? I don't want to do phone calls. I want to do Zoom calls now. So every meeting we try to turn into a face-to-face. And frankly, I feel like I'm in a room with you, Nickolas, right? So it shouldn't matter. So it plays a huge factor. And we have great AI software with AI built in, by the way, to understand how our people are doing. What percentage of the time do they talk versus listen? What percentage of the time do they interrupt? When Nickolas stops talking, do I jump in immediately to share my thoughts because I'm so excited about what I'm about to say? Would I give him a minute or a second or 2 to finish his thought, because what he might say next is brilliant? Again, only a human could do these things. But the AI behind some of the software that we have is helping us do what we do better.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, I think it's incredibly impactful. If we use it to replace what we're actually supposed to do, I think we're going to lose out.
Enhance the experience, not take over the whole experience. What's the name of that AI software you're using? That sounds really, really beneficial.
I can't share it.
Okay.
It's confidential.
Gotcha. NDA locked in.
It's homegrown. It's homegrown. It's pretty incredible. It's a really cool tool. We can do it offline, but the idea behind it is, and there's software out there that do similar things, but the idea behind this is to really understand what we're trying to do, and do we understand our customers, and do our employees, are they doing what they're supposed to do?
That's great.
I'll show you next time you're in.
Yeah, please do. And are you using any other sort of data analytics when it comes to the recruiting process itself, because I'm trying to keep this all in line with the tech, because I also think if you're getting AI data and analytics on basic meetings, I imagine there might be something for the recruiting space too of, hey, we are only getting responses from emails we write based on cold prompts. Or I'm not saying you're a cold prompt person, Avetis. I don't think you are, but
yeah,
you know what I mean?
We don't do much of that, so it's really tough. I mean, the closest thing to that is they might do campaigns and it says, hey, these are the days that people are more responsive, right? Or when you send an email mentioning this, it's people are more likely to respond. But that's, again, it's all really early. And I would say it's more automation than it is AI.
And you're more on the relationship side of things anyway, relationship proponent.
We are.
Which I love.
We are. And it's not the sexiest thing in the world to say, right? People love talking about their AI. Oh, what do you do? Oh, it's an AI recruiting firm. No. We use AI to help us do our jobs faster and better and longer, I guess you would say. We can scale it, but you can't replace what we do at that level. The relationship, the building trust and things that you would never tell someone else, you could tell us because it's confidential and you trust us, right?
And there's the expression of, if you lost your job and you couldn't replace it in a week, your network isn't strong enough, which I believe that's true.
Wow.
So I think relationships are at the core of any sort of business, organic job finding, all of those things. They can't be replaced.
I think relationships are everything, period. Everything comes down to relationships, and real relationships, not surface level relationships. Yeah, I mean, my final thoughts would be, if you are in a business where you're afraid that you will be replaced by AI, I would say do more than any computer can do. And really, what can we do? We can't be faster than a computer, right? We can't be smarter than AI eventually from the learnings that they do and the memory and all that. What we can do is build relationships at a deeper level. I went to a conference, and one of the guys that wrote a book, I forget what it was called, unfortunately, really, really brilliant, right? He said the only thing that humans could do better than AI is to connect at a very, very, very deep level with people and to really, really understand what they're about. And if you can do that in any industry, I think you'll be highly successful, and you will be the 1% or the 5%, the 10% that can never be replaced. And if you're interested in just transacting for whatever reason, whether it's transact so you can make money or transact so you can go home and live because you're miserable at work, or you can automate everything you do and walk away so you don't have to do any real work, you will absolutely be replaced. And it's coming faster than we thought, right? I mean, it's happening really, really quickly. I think we expanded the timing of it by another 5 to 10 years over the last 6 months to a year. So learn very quickly how to be great at your craft or get out. 2, build very, very deep relationships and care about people, and don't be a go-getter, be a go-giver. And if none of those things are interesting to you, you're not interested in those things, I would highly recommend you move into a trade that cannot be replaced by AI. Plumbers, roofers, electricians, something that cannot be replaced by AI. If you want to transact, eventually that's the only type of roles that you can transact in. But even those things, you got to build relationships, right?
Yeah.
People have to trust you to let you into their homes and to give you the jobs over something else. So if you're a commodity, you will be replaced. If you're a valuable resource and you're there for people when you don't necessarily need them and you don't always win from giving to them, then I think you can only win from all these things coming out because you will stand out and not replaced. Nickolas, you are irreplaceable.
That's right. You can't hop on with an AI robot. AI robot's not going to be asking you good questions like this. Come on.
That'd be awkward. It'd be very odd.
Yeah, they have no emotions. They can't even smile at you. They just blink their eyes at you when they were trying to laugh or smile. Thanks for having me on again, Avetis. It was fun.
Thank you for being here, and see you on the next episode.
In this episode, we discussed how AI is disrupting the tech recruiting space, ways you can utilize it for good, and the need to prioritize relationships above all. If you enjoyed this episode, there's more in store. Tune into episode 4, where Avetis sits down with one of tech's top attorneys for mergers, acquisitions, and fundraising for startups. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening and share this podcast with a friend. New uploads every Wednesday at 6 a.m. We'll see you in the next episode.